Good morning, and welcome to the Max and Honey Show. Or should I say, welcome to Honey's world and her housekeeper and home staff. She was in an unusually needy mood this morning, wanted to be petted and rubbed. Now I come out here, she followed me out, and now she's even appearing on the camera. Yes, she is. Oh, somebody wants some attention. Wow, you're in such a happy mood. You know what it is? It's the cooler weather. It's 59 degrees here. And as a result, I think she's kind of excited. Wind's blowing, the critters are running around outside, and she's staring out the window, or as we call it, cat TV. So, I'm sorry, sweetie. What I thought I would talk about today is decals, because of a little something that happened last night. The H-19 Chickasaw helicopter that I'm making as part of the diorama. I cracked it out of the box last night, and it's a 1/48 scale, so it scales out right, but it's in Air Force markings, and since I had all the Army trucks, I was going to make it sort of an Army/National Guard kind of operation, and that was okay because I had bought some aftermarket H-19 decals for the kit. And I take them out last night, I'm all excited, I'm like, ooh, I'm going to mark it up, and then a little number up in the corner catches my eye, and it turns out I had ordered 1/72nd scale decals. I mean, I'm not entirely sure how I made that oversight, but I did. And so what I looked at them, I was like, maybe I could make these work, because one thing you notice throughout the history of military hardware is markings keep changing. And there are, it says U.S. Army, but they would scale out about right on the tail boom, the way the Army does it. They did all through Vietnam. It would, they replaced the big white or yellow Army with the little thin black United States Army. And so I started going through pictures of H-19s. Now, we kind of fall into that thing of, Max's model's philosophy of make it how you want it to be versus, well, how should it really look? Unfortunately, a quick Google search, every single H-19 I found a picture of either had Army in gigantic yellow or gigantic white markings. And I went through my spares and I thought, wait a minute, I'll bet the markings in the Piasecki Hup that I'd built from Atlantis would work perfectly. I couldn't find them. I might have actually used them all. So I'll dig. I didn't really dig through my stash, that decal stash, that effectively. I just made a quick look, and since I organized it in those bag sheets, those document folders, a lot easier to get around through them without making a huge mess. But there's still a lot of digging you have to do, because a lot of times I'll put a lot of similar decals just in one pouch. But that being said, I can always buy some, or I can always just, it's not that important. I can mark it up how I want. It kind of becomes a bit of a challenge after a while. I also have a lot of other models on the shelf. I can always scrounge around and see if one of them has options. And somebody recently just said they were sending me some leftover decals they had. Now, guys, I've always said I never say no to plastic. I also never say no to decals, because you never know what obscure decal is going to be just that thing you need. And I imagine, if I'm like most of us, I'm hesitant to throw away a box. I'll throw away the old sprues, although I literally have a box full of nothing but old, well, they're not technically sprues, they're runners. I know we all call them sprues, but technically they're runners. But I have a box full of old runners, and they come in handy for all kinds of stuff, because you've got all the different colors, and every plastic has a different texture. So they're just, it requires so little storage space. And sometimes when you go looking for something, if you take it with the right attitude, it's like going hunting. The search for that thing can be perfect. Now, it can be fun. So the trucks, the M35 trucks, each one of those kits comes with a small portable generator, their accessories, a communications reel, and a radio, and a decal for the radio. Although I'm sure the hardcore guys would prefer to hand paint it, but the decal's not that bad. I use the decals on both of them just to keep them the same. And the trucks came with boxes. So the military trucks also came with the rifles, the M1 Garands, or excuse me, M1 Garands for the soldiers are all are all into it. They're not molded to them. They're separate pieces. So there's a ton of great little accessories I can use to help flesh out the diorama. Now at the moment, the idea I've got in mind, the basic idea, I've gone through, it'll be a refugee camp, but I think what I'm settling on now is, and it was kind of an earlier idea, I'd loop back to it, is the everybody's exiting whatever the catastrophe is. And, the local National Guard or Army is just got this disrupted chain of command, this ad hoc response. So what they're doing is they see where everybody's going, cars are breaking down, people are walking. So they're flying out just water, food, whatever they can just to help the people continue going. Ironically, the one thing they would, that's why they commandeered the tanker trucks. And so basically, the military has made this mobile, you guys remember the old sitcom, MASH, Mobile Army Surgical Hospital? Well, this is sort of a mobile, for lack of a better word, a convenience store, gas station. In other words, it's a place where people just get some water, some food, some gas, and to help them keep moving, so that they don't get, people don't die on the roadside. And that's all it is. It's just move along, nothing to see here, move along, here, candy bar, water, move along, that kind of thing. They're trying to do what they can to help people escape, because whatever it is something the Army can't actually fight. So they're taking on their role of, defending the American people by trying to help, keep some semblance of order, prevent, the crowd from turning into a mob, keep some sort of authority figure going, keep, be of service to the people how they can, which in this case is to help them move further away from whatever the calamity is. When I was in the Army, and I was in the infantry, back then it was MOS 11 Bravo, which I don't think they have anymore. We used to call it 11 Bullet Stopper. But that was light weapons infantry, the guy with the rifle. And one of the things we did train for, the U.S. Army does have a constantly active mission for civil defense. And different divisions, depending on where they are. I was at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, but depending on where you are, different parts of the country fall under your responsibility. It can be earthquakes, riots. Now, you think of the National Guard, and they do get called out, but the regular Army can get called out also. Actually, any of the military services can be, but of course, the Army's kind of manpower intensive. And in the event of something like this, local unit commanders would probably, if there was a breakdown in communication, they would take it upon themselves to carry out their mission and help the citizens however they could. And I'm just assuming that you've got probably a World War II veteran general commanding a division that has taken it upon himself to contact local authorities and to be of aid. And that's kind of how this. So, like I said, the whole thing starts to develop this very in-depth story, way more than I'd intended when I first started it. But back to decals. Man, I can't count the number of times I have, gone to my decal stash and found just what I needed. One of the things I did a long time ago was I bought a one of the sheets of the Stars and Bars, the American post-World War II aircraft insignia, and they're on all these different scales. And I figured I'll probably just use a few of these, and I've probably gone halfway through that thing. It's just amazing how, oh yeah, that'd be perfect for this, that'd be perfect for that. And I've got a lot of Japanese and Luftwaffe markings. Not as many British as I thought. I thought I had a good supply of British roundels, but I don't. And I even have a small handful of French, Italian, and Spanish markings, but I mean, literally probably just enough to do one airplane. But it's I'm not sure if it's, I think either painting or decaling is my favorite part of model building. And maybe that's just because when you put the decals on it, paint the decals, it really comes to life. I need to beef up my decal. I probably should just go out and order some sheets of like Army, Navy, because I can print my own. I have a laser printer, and I can print my own decals, but I can't. And I've got clear and white decal paper. Now, for those who don't know, the one color you cannot print, at least not on a printer, is white. So there's a couple of options on what you can do if you need something in white. You can print an outline and cut it out very accurately if that'll suit your needs. It also really helps to print the color on white, because some decals, depending on how good the paper is, okay, baby. Oh, you want to sniff around the tripod? If the camera starts shaking, the princess is playing with it. Some decals are, if you try to make your own, and I highly recommend using a laser printer. You can do it with an inkjet, but you're going to have to put a couple of coats of clear coat. You guys maybe remember a while back when I was trying to salvage those decals. I was using that old Helldiver on floats, and those were the decals from Novo. And I found out that the gloss coat actually did a better job than anything else. But you can also use restoring agent, but then you have to trim. You have to trim out right along the edge of the decal, because it just creates one, kind of sheet over it. But the inkjet ones, you get pretty much one shot to put them on. If it goes south, that ink will start letting go pretty quick. But the other problem is how thin the color can be. I had used some inkjet decals that I'd made that were yellow, and and they looked pretty good on the paper, and it was on clear paper. And when I actually put them on the model, the yellow virtually disappeared into it turned out that the ink it had sprayed on was so thin that as soon as it got on, I think it was a brown surface, you could hardly see it. It was almost invisible. That was really disappointing. It looked good against the white background that was on the backing sheet, but once you put it on dark, the color overpowered it. That's not as much of a problem with the laser printer. I might just go ahead and print my own decals, but there's nothing like store-bought decals. And of course, the other option is you can stencil it, but God, that's a lot of work. And I've just never been that good at it. I've tried stenciling decals before, to make, sort of paint, and it is art. And anyone who can do it and do a good job of it, and my hat's off to you. Years ago, I saw a B-17. The Fine Skill Modeler had done an article on using the frisket and everything and tracing the decals, and I just couldn't. So I went and got some frisket and I tried it, and I couldn't get the frisket to adhere as well as that guy did, and I got it just didn't. And I realized it was my first try. I did it a couple of times and it was just like, wow, I'm just going to buy decals. No, that's not entirely true. Usually when I want to mark something off and I want to make my own markings, like the Tremulous, I did that, but those were basically straight lines, so I used tape instead of frisket. And decals have their problems, of course. They silver and they bubble and everything else, especially the older ones. But like I talked about on that Enterprise that I made with the Aztec decals, those were a godsend. So decaling to me is a lot of fun. I guess you really don't do that much decaling. Well, I shouldn't say this. I was about to say you don't do that much decaling on cars, but then it depends on the car. And I was real happy with the way the blue GTO looked until I accidentally dropped some glue on the hood. When I wiped it off, it took the big piece of the decal right with it, and I was like, ow, not fair. How many times have you actually, things are actually looking good, and you just, for moments in attention, a drop of glue drops on the model, like, oh, God, there's no way you're getting that off the paint or without leaving it. It's just that moments in attention. Oh. So, well, that's all I got. I think I'm planning to do a lot tomorrow. I might put a lot of stuff on the YouTube tomorrow, partly because we all know what tomorrow is, and I just want to stay distracted until it's over. I don't even want to say the word. So I'll probably be uploading a lot of crap today just to give people something to look at, to stay away from what's going to be dominating the news feeds and the TV. And let the chips fall where they may. Well, guys, that's it for this morning. We will see everybody later. You have a great day, and model on.